Hey everybody, welcome back to what feels like part 10 million of my Daniel Holtzclaw interrogation video series. Just to give you the standard warning, this is going to get pretty graphic. We are now over halfway through the interrogation, so they're really kind of taking the gloves off at that point. So if that offends you, or if you have kids in the room, probably not the best choice of video to watch. So you've been warned. And with that, let's get back to our video.
I'm just trying to think of every conceivable possible thing for this.
You know, they spend a whole lot of time in this interrogation doing just this, kind of sitting around and trying to think of, is there any plausible explanation for this? And some people have accused them of showing police bias, police privilege in this regard, but personally I don't have a problem with it, because certainly I would think as an ethical detective, an ethical police officer, you don't want to see somebody get railroaded by false accusations. And you know that that does happen a lot. And so I think it's actually very fair of them not to rush into anything and just to be sitting around and thinking. And of course, they're also giving him plenty of time to kind of stew in his own juices a little bit and to get uncomfortable and hope that maybe he will say something incriminating. And, you know, really watching Kim Davis in particular, you can see that as the interview goes on, she just starts kind of looking very, very defeated and profoundly sad. And I understand that, because as an ethical detective, the idea that somebody who has the badge and the gun and is, you know, sworn to serve and protect could abuse his authority in this manner is just, it's nauseating, it's revolting, it's almost unbelievable. And so I see her, just by the end of this thing, you're going to see she just looks brokenhearted, as well she should. And I imagine that part of it also is that, you know, she's looking at him, this young, attractive guy who seemed to be, you know, a paragon of virtue, who really has destroyed not only his victims' lives, but also his own life and the lives of his family and his girlfriend, who I also count as his victims, by the way. So anyway, that's profoundly sad, and you can see that in her body language and just in her tone. So, moving on.
Run down through on her search of her breasts again. Exactly how that went, because even that and her pants.
Was she standing or sitting
When
during that time?
patted when I got to the vehicle about right here. Said, "Can I search you?" And
More by the front door.
the front right fender. And then I patted her down, boom, boom, boom. Lift up your shirt right here. Boom, no weapons.
So you said lift up her shirt. Your
yeah,
shirt.
Yep.
What if she would have gone, whoa!
Then I would have told a supervisor or something, and I'd be like, get that off my back, you know? And it's not what I meant.
You searched her with her, where was her, was she facing you or facing away?
Facing away.
She's facing away.
Right.
And how are you seeing if anything's falling, if she's facing away?
If it'd fall, I would see right there.
You'd see right there, but don't you usually have them turn face towards you and do a shakeout?
Officer safety, I always have everyone face away from me. You can't see what you can't hit.
But you don't know if the weapon's there or anything?
As far as I did quick pad search, lift up your shirt, no weapons on board.
You made a mention earlier about her pants. She did what with her pants?
As far as that, it was in the back seat. Nothing. She had tight pants, and that's about it.
But how did you have her do it? Like a cursory movement around her belt line, anything like that, or any shake?
No.
Did you tell her how far to raise her shirt, or to do the shake with the bra? Anything like that?
I think she did the shake with her bra by herself. I didn't say to do any of that. As far as
She pull it out and go like that?
Yes, but as far as that's on her. As far as right here is when I told her to lift up the waistband.
But she was faced away from you the entire time that her chest was,
right.
She was checking.
Right.
So when she lifted up her shirt, her back was to you?
I think she was facing me, obviously, because I'm going to look at the front end.
You said you might have saw her belly, like a fat roll.
Right.
So you...
Okay, I kept wanting to stop the video and jump in there, but I'm also trying to give him a little bit more rope to hang himself. Okay, you've just heard a bunch of contradictions with what he had told him earlier. And also, he's going to start just falling apart completely and contradicting himself and using weasel words out the yin-yang. So, again, the reason that they're going through all of this in such minute detail with the shake and the boobs, etc., is to try to catch him saying something different than he said before. And it's also because, as Rocky Gregory pointed out, that whenever they start talking about boobs is when Holtzclaw seems to get a little uncomfortable. So they're kind of zeroing in on that. So about 45 seconds ago, he said that when she did the shake, she was by the car. So she was not in his car. She was standing outside of either vehicle. Did the shake out standing facing away from him. Then they asked him about, did he ask her to do the shake? And he said, I think she did the shake. That's on her. Again, this happened 12 to 14 hours prior. His memory of this event is fresh. I think is a weasel phrase in this context. He knows. He's saying, I think, so that if there's video evidence to the contrary, he can say, well, I thought. I told you I wasn't sure. I said, I thought that that's what happened. Okay. Let's keep going.
Been to the side or to the front?
If the time when she faced me is probably when I saw a fat roll or skin.
The time when she faced me is probably when I would have seen a fat roll or skin. Okay. Again, probably. I should put a little counter up in the corner of the screen. Probably, weasel word, when I saw a fat roll or skin. Again, he knows exactly what he saw and when he saw it. He is trying to now just remember the lies that he told, and he can't bring himself to say, yes, that's when I saw it, was when she was facing me. That would also perhaps be a lie, or perhaps it would be the truth. Now, in this case, because we know now with the benefit of hindsight, we know what happened. We know that it would have been true for him to say that. Yeah, well, I saw a little bit of skin when she was facing me. But he has just told them that when she pulled up her shirt to shake out her bra, she was facing away. So already he's wrapping himself into a pretzel.
But it wasn't for the check.
No.
Did she try to pull her pants down?
No, I recall. Moved around the scene, that's about it. Nothing else.
But when she was standing, did she try to pull her pants down?
No.
Did she do, you said she kind of did like this. Did she ever do anything down here?
No. Because at that time, when she asked me, do you want me to show you? I was like, no, I'm good.
She did ask if...
Yeah.
What'd she say?
I said, no, I'm good.
When was that? Where was everybody then?
I think that was in the car.
Okay, I don't think you said that last time.
I think I did.
Maybe you did, and maybe I just missed it. So she was in the car and said, do you want me to show you?
When she did the shake thing, and she's like, you want me to show you? I was like, no.
Okay. Whoa, right? Did you catch all that? So he just said at the start of this video, so what was that, 3 minutes ago maybe? That she shook her bra out when she was standing outside of either vehicle facing away from him. Then he is now saying that she did she was like plucking at her bra and said, well, do you want me to show you? When she was in his police car. Which means it would be impossible for her to be facing away from him. If he was standing by the side of the car, she was facing him. If he was in the driver's seat, which is what he had said before initially, that he was in the driver's seat, and she was in the back of his car, she still would have been facing him, albeit in the mirror. And earlier he had mentioned that the reason that he had her, do the shake and kind of expose her waistband a little bit to see if there was any weapons or whatever in there, was so that if there was something, it would fall to the ground. right? Because she was standing. So it is impossible for both of these stories to be true. If she was in the car, which he has now said she was when she did the shake, then she was not facing away from him and there was no chance of anything falling on the ground.
Show you what?
Just as, I guess she's trying to mean as far as just a boom or something, if anything's in her bra or anything like that.
But that was after you already had her lift up her shirt
Right,
a little
because
bit.
that was at the front right fender.
Okay. And like I said, I may have missed that or got confused. We've talked about a lot. So she asked you when she's sitting in your car, do you want me to show you?
Right.
And you said
Said
no.
no.
Did she attempt it?
No.
That's a direct contradiction, right? Go back and watch the earlier videos. I think it's on the first or second one that I did. It's pretty early in the interview when he gives his initial account of what happened. This is a contradiction now.
And that was after the...
After she was kind of doing like this?
Yeah.
A thing that kind of concerns me is everything you're telling me is dead on to what she says. Everything. Except the sexual stuff.
Okay, he has not said anything to that yet. He takes this big long pause there. An innocent person would say, well, because that's what happened, except the sexual stuff never happened. So of course she's telling you that because that's the truth. She's just adding the sex crap. That's what an innocent person would have said, not sit there like a lump in silence being falsely accused of this terrible crime.
Nothing was done.
Oh my goodness. Nothing was done. We need to talk about reliable denials in statement analysis. Nothing was done. Actually, I stopped that too soon. Let's continue for another second.
What was that? Nothing.
Nothing was done as far as that. Nothing. Wow. Okay. In statement analysis, there are 3 components of a reliable denial, and you need to have all of them. Those parts are: a reliable denial will be in the past tense, it will be in the first person, and it will be specific to the event. So, for example, I did not punch Bob, right? It's first person because I said I did not, so it's past tense. And I'm saying I did not punch Bob. So it is specific to an allegation that I punched some dude named Bob. Okay. He is saying nothing was done as far as that. All right. He gets the past tense right. Fine. Nothing was done. That is not in the first person. He didn't say, I didn't do that. Nothing was done. That smacks of one of those corporate denials, like when there's a recall of canned beans because there's like botulism in the beans or something, mistakes were made. Nothing was done. He has completely excised himself from that. He hasn't used the word I at all. He said nothing was done as far as that. He has to qualify it. Nothing was done. Well, obviously things were done. He made the traffic stop. He searched her car. He did this, she did that. So obviously there are things happening. So he has to qualify it as far as that. That is absolutely in no way, shape, or form a reliable denial. Huge, huge indicator of deception. Awkward pause. Letting him stew.
She smell of anything else besides alcohol?
Just a little bit, like I said, when I was in this car seat. But I asked her if anything else is on board. She just said pills.
Did she smell, though, like weed?
Not PCP or anything with a stink that I would smell.
Right.
I didn't...
You notice that he says a lot, and particularly with increasing frequency as the interview progresses, he keeps using the phrase, like I said, or like I said before. If someone says that once, okay, fine. But if they keep saying it what that is leaking to the active perceptive listener is he is referencing what he said as differentiated from what actually happened. Okay? If he truly had been so concerned about her being drunk, which he talks about that a lot and never substantiates by doing a breathalyzer or anything, but whatever. If that was true, he would have just said, "No, I didn't smell anything besides the alcohol." But instead, he's got to elaborate. "No, like I said, I didn't smell anything," because he's referencing what he said, because what he said is not actually what happened.
Only weed inside the car. I didn't smell any weed on her person. That's about it.
Awkward pause again. They make great use of silence.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm just bombarded with questions. But
I know. Do you have any? Do you want to bombard us with any questions?
It's
Okay, again with the nervous laughter, right? That nervous laughter just irritates me because it's so obviously nerves. She is now giving him the opportunity to, as she put it, bombard them with questions. An innocent person would have 1,000,001 questions. They would want to know about the DNA test. They would want to know if I touched her shirt with the back of my hand during the pat down, and then when she took her shirt off that night, my skin cells got on her breasts. Is that going to be on the same exam? Is my DNA in her car maybe going to have transferred to her hands from like the steering wheel or from the door handle, and then that's going to wind up on her body? Okay. Is it possible that I had, one of my own pubic hairs on my sock or on my pants from when I took my laundry out, and then maybe that got dropped in her car, or maybe it got dropped in the back of my car, and you find that? Is that going to show up on the exam? Is that going to be forensically important? I changed the oil in her car. Is that forensically important? He's going to have questions until his face falls off. If he's innocent, but he isn't innocent, which is why he's doing the whole laughing and shifting in his seat and just generally falling all over himself. Because he doesn't have questions, because he already knows. He already knows exactly what happened. He already knows how guilty he is, and he already knows how many other victims he had that he's going, oh my goodness, they're going to find out about all this now. His house of cards is on its way down. Always be suspicious when a person should have questions, but they don't. Watch any police interrogation of a person who has murdered their wife or husband. Many of them don't ask how the person died. Like, who's the one I'm thinking of? Chris Coleman. This is a little bit of a tangent, but it is relevant here. Chris Coleman, he was head of security for Joyce Myers, a televangelist. And he had started an affair with somebody else, and he was married, he had a wife, he had 2 beautiful children. And he did this whole elaborate lead up to eventually, I think he strangled them in their beds. When he came into the police office to give a statement, he didn't once ask how they died. And in interviews later, the detective said, well, that's a giant red flag. Of course he should want to know. It's not that they want that information because it's going to make them feel better, but, information is power. So even when you're talking about something that's evil and horrible, you want to know what happened. My entire family's dead. How did that happen? So the fact that he didn't have that question was highly suspicious. It's the same thing with Holtzclaw here. He should be just foaming at the mouth with questions. But he isn't. And now I know why.
No, I don't have any questions.
We might, as far as you said you take the lie detector test.
Right.
Do you have any extra job? Is there a time when you can't take a lie detector test?
No.
That you can take it at any time?
I can take it at any time.
You're not scheduled for vacation coming up?
I'm not scheduled for vacation.
Okay. Where are you at on your days on right now?
This will be my second day out.
Okay.
What's that?
So you're Tuesday to Tuesday?
Tuesday to Tuesday.
You take any testosterone booster?
I do take a pro hormone, which is over the counter, BYN, Beyond Your Nutrition, which is off Memorial and Penn-ish.
What's that do to your nuts? You know how
they say it shrinks your nuts.
Does it?
They say they shrinks your nuts.
Are your nuts shrunk?
I don't think they are.
I mean, well, you would notice. You know your ball size.
I don't think they have shrunk.
Has it done anything to your penis?
No.
You have any problem getting it up?
I don't.
You have any problem ejaculating?
I don't.
What's it called? BYN?
BYN, Beyond Your Nutrition.
Is that the name of the store or what you take?
It's off the store.
What's the stuff you take?
It's called Methadrol.
Okay, well, they're talking about the supplements. I'm just going to mute it and talk over them a little bit. Do you notice how when she's asking him these questions, he's answering rapidly and with appropriate head motions because he's telling the truth about these supplements. So here comes some more graphic sex questions, I think.
A year.
So, do you think you want it more since you've been on that? I mean, if you're doing it once a day, that's a lot.
Plus jacking
I
off.
think. Plus jacking off.
For my age, I don't think that's a lot.
Was it that before you took this stuff?
Yeah, I think I have. I think that's probably why I'm a bigger guy, is because I have higher testosterone. I'm an athlete.
And do you think you have a high sex drive?
Yeah.
Do you like oral sex? Normal?
I like it all.
You'll take it at you'll. Do you prefer vaginal? Would you rather get a blowjob or do it in the hoo-ha?
Do it. Me? You take it in there?
No, you give it in the hoo-ha or get a blowjob?
Sex.
Sex? What about anal sex?
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
Let us step out.
I had some questions about some midgets, but I guess I'll leave that alone.
Have you ever had sex with a dude?
I've never had sex with a dude.
Have you ever wanted to?
I did not. I did not want to mess with a guy.
Okay, this is a good stopping point for us here. So again, they're kind of pushing and pulling with attention a little bit, asking him these crazy sex questions. But you notice that even though they're asking him things that are, it would be natural for him to be a little bit uncomfortable about, and he does look like he's a little bit uncomfortable. He is answering them reliably and promptly. He's not hemming and hawing too much. And again, that's because although the questions are of an extremely personal and indeed invasive nature, he doesn't have to lie or spin any of his answers, which is why it's so easy for him to answer those questions. Anyway, that's enough for this clip. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next installment. Bye-bye!